I thought I saw them there. That's not them, is it? They're just more bluebirds.
Yes, they are. You're
What?
right. You found them. You found them.
What? No. No, I haven't. Oh, they're there. There they are.
Look at this two-toned number. Oh, gorgeous.
Wowie, here we go. Hello.
We have found the Early Purple Orchid.
Ta-da, ladies and gentlemen, the Early Purple Orchid.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm in the North Norfolk woods with Nick. Nick, what is it that you do for the Norfolk Wildlife Trust?
What I do is talk to people about nature and how completely amazing it is.
And we are searching for the Early Purple Orchid, but these woodlands are very special.
So Early Purple Orchids are something called ancient woodland indicators. What an ancient wood means is it's been a wood for a very long time, and in the case of lots of our woods we've got records, for example Foxley Wood, we've got records of it in the Doomsday Book.
And for anyone who doesn't know what the Doomsday Book is, how old is that?
It's 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
1,000 years
Wow.
old.
It's a very old woodland.
Very old woods indeed. These are plants that can't grow anywhere else.
They've been here a long time, they're well established, they're a little bit fussy.
And if you dig them up, let too much sunlight in, if you chop down all the trees, if you start farming the land, then they just move out. They can't cope with it anymore.
Right.
And there are relatively few bits of Norfolk where these ancient woods still stand.
So this is what they want, and it's shady, it's cool, the soil is as old as they are.
So the Early Purple Orchid is, well, it's not protected, but the Norfolk Wildlife Trust are doing their best to conserve.
Well,
it
it is actually protected in the sense that all wildflowers are protected by law. You can't just go around digging them up. And the way we protect them is to protect landscape.
It's impossible to recreate these ancient woodlands simply because you cannot put 1,000 years of history into a piece of land.
No, you can't.
But what you can do is try to join them up.
We want this little Early Purple Orchid, we'll call him Bob.
Bob.
Bob has relatives in the next ancient wood that's 10 miles away.
Right.
But Bob has no way of visiting.
Poor Bob!
Poor Bob! And Bob's genes have no way of breeding with Imelda, who lives in the next wood over.
Right.
And
Imelda.
in order for Bob and Imelda to be able to breed,
we have to create
a corridor that in time will become suitable habitat.
I love that saying, this idea that you can join up pieces of woodland by creating little stretches, little corridors for them to connect, so Bob and Imelda can go for that family reunion.
Early Purple Orchids. Absolutely so. But to do that, we need to work beyond the context of nature reserves and work in partnership with everybody else in the community. Because we don't own all the land in between, but we know that there are tons and tons and tons of people in Norfolk who want this idea of a connected landscape for wildlife and for people.
If anyone is familiar with Shakespeare and Hamlet, then you might know the character Ophelia. She goes slightly bonkers towards the end.
But if you spend long enough in a wood, it's going to happen to you sooner or later, isn't it?
There's one scene where she has a handful of different plants.
It's when she's drowned herself. And it's all a bit dark, isn't it? She's in the stream and she is draped with blooms.
Yeah.
And one of the blooms she's draped with is referred to as wild purples. And it is much thought that this is probably the Early Purple Orchid.
Why has the Early Purple Orchid been chosen as the one to represent this habitat?
Well, the short answer is simply because somebody had to be chosen. And we could have chosen this. This is wild garlic. Copper sniff of that. One, because you might, I know it's good, isn't it? It's really good.
Stuck in my nose.
Now, cleared out your passages. So we could have chosen wild garlic, we could have chosen the wood anemones that are growing just here, we could have chosen any number of ancient woodland indicator plants, or indeed we could have chosen birds or trees or whatever.
But amongst the 9 species, it's obvious to pick a bird or a mammal. It's actually really lovely to have a plant represented here. Why is it important to also look after the plants?
They're the bottom line.
Yeah.
There can be no birds, there can be no mammals if it weren't for the plants. The plants take the energy of the sun and the carbon dioxide out of the air and they turn it into stuff.
Yeah.
And it's that stuff that everybody else eats. And so the plants are fundamental.
So you have to look after the plants too, folks. Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome.
This has been more than just a hunt for the Early Purple Orchid, but actually a little bit of a Yeah, an all-round ancient woodland discovery session.
But that's the thing, isn't it? That the Early Purple Orchid is your door into the whole idea of the North Norfolk Woods living landscape and everything that we're trying to do through it.
I hope you enjoyed that little exploration of the ancient woodlands and finding out a little bit more about the Early Purple Orchid. Subscribe, stay curious, and yeah, see you soon.